Aloha Noa. Again, I want to mahalo you so much for tuning in today. Let's definitely get right into this talk story. You're listening to Real Talk with DJ Ono. I'm a transfer student from Kapi'olani Community College, where I just graduated with my AA in Hawaiian Studies and Liberal Arts. I also received a public health certificate from Kauai Community College. At Kapi'olani, I was a student congress president during the second year of the pandemic and worked on initiatives that ranged from creating safe spaces on campus, food insecurity, and social services. Here at UH Manoa, I'm a public health major that graduates this year. I also got into grad school, which is an amazing, amazing thing for myself. And at KTUH, I'm serving as your general manager. On Real Talk, I'll bring you conversations about many topics that are occurring in the islands. They will range from public health and wellness, art, social justice, with our main focus always coming back to Alohaina. Again, I want to mahalo you so much for tuning in for this conversation. This is the final installation of our graduate series, and this particular talk story was inspired by my practicum and by food, because if you know me, we always talk about food. Our guest today is going to be Jazmin. She is going to be a graduate of the Matanuga Institute here on campus through the communications department. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your scholastic journey and how you came to UH and how we actually ended up meeting. And tell us a little bit about this particular dish.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jazmin Potes Mangra. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I graduated with my associate degree at Normandale Community College, and then I transferred here in the fall of 2021 to the Peace Institute to get a bachelor's degree in peace and conflict resolution, and I'm also pursuing an ethnic studies certificate. This is my final semester. How did I... Sorry, what was the question again?
How do we end up meeting?
Yeah, so we're both in the Peace and Conflict Resolution Practicum class with my SO Toto. And so part of this practicum involves a culminating project in which we will build skills that will help us to inform the work that we do after we graduate in any avenue, not necessarily political or anything like that, but in mostly Pilina building and finding connections with people. And so, Alex, you've been so gracious as to allow me into your culminating project of doing this like cultural recipe sharing, and I feel very grateful for that opportunity. The dish that I've chosen to share is from my Guyanese side. It's a Guyanese style curry that we used more of like it's a vegan style actually, so it's very personal to me, and it involves a particular product that you can get very easily in Minneapolis that you can't quite get easily here on island, and that was one of the reasons why I chose to use it. So the main components of that dish are potatoes, cabbage, carrots, and mock duck. It's a little heavier on the vegetable side, which I prefer to make it more filling, but it's just a little twist that I added that my family doesn't necessarily do themselves. But I figured I might as well put a little bit of myself into it as well.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
What have you enjoyed the most of being in Kumu Sortero's class?
I think I enjoy that we all have such vastly different approaches to peace. I really appreciate Maya as a professor because I guess going into it I was a little bit starstruck, which is very perhaps superficial of me, but I didn't know what to expect, what her style was going to be like, but she's really chill, like she's just very chill as a professor, but so human and so real, and I really appreciated that because I think going into the practicum I was like, I don't know if I can do something and meet all these deadlines and do things sort of clinically. But she doesn't expect that. She expects realness. She expects you to do the work, but like do it your way. I had a phone call conversation with her where I was like, I'm not sure if I can take this route. Is it a little too the original avenue that I wanted to take? Was it going to be too radical for the institution? And she was like, go for it. Like, this is student centered. It's student led. Do what is meaningful to you. You know, you're not hurting anybody. So, eventually I had to take a different approach because of scheduling, but I was still grateful for that advice, and our conversations in our monthly meetings also reflects that.
Right on. If you're just joining us right now, we're speaking with Jazmin, and we're talking about cultural relevance and how it plays a major part with conflict resolution. Keep it locked to KTUH, the only radio station that loves you. Aloha Noa, if you're just joining us right now, we're speaking with Jazmin, and we're talking about everything about curry. We're talking about cultural resolutions through conflict, and yeah. I have a quick question. Tell us where Guyana? Tell us where Guyana is in the globe.
Yeah, so Guyana used to be called British Guyana because it was colonized by the British, obviously. It's actually a small country on the top of South America, the top right corner of South America. Unlike most South American countries, they don't speak Spanish. They speak Guyanese Creole, which is sort of like a mix-up of English and the various languages that were already a part of that country. Kind of like Pidgin is used here. It's part of the Caribbean. It's considered part of the Caribbean, so it's actually the only continental nation that is a part of the Caribbean. Mostly islands, right? But Guyana is actually a part of a continent. So, yeah.
When we were making this dish, for me, the robust smells of the curry, like, it was really amazing to see, and like even like my team could like smell it, and they were like, oh my god, where's the curry, where's the curry, where's the curry. What emotions or what feelings did that invoke for you while we were dicing everything, while we were basically like cooking that dish in this KTUH space? What was that like for you?
I'll be honest with you, I was a little shy about it, because when we think about like curry smells, like socially, can be stigmatized at times. You know, people associate like people and smells and food, you know, like kimchi and things like that. And I've heard things like that. So I've honestly felt quite vulnerable with sharing this. Because I wanted it to be received well, right? These flavors and these smells and these dishes are so deeply entrenched into my childhood memories and my own peace and my own joy that I hope that it was received well and not just as smelly foreign food, you know? So it really brings a smile to my face to hear that people received the smell well and were feeling appetized, that they wanted to try some. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. Guyanese style curry is my favorite style of curry, and I'm in no way biased at all, but it's my favorite because it's very flexible in that it can be more of a stew type, it can be more wet, it can be more dry. You can make it as spicy as you want. You can choose your peppers. You can use whole peppers. And unlike other curries, which sort of the flavor becomes cut with what you add into it, including coconut milk or large amounts of other vegetables and things, the curry and the garam masala are very sharp flavors that come through. So I think I explained this to you the other time, but like the flavor of the curry, you can from the start of the bite until the end, you can taste the flavor all throughout, whereas most curries that you'll eat, there's this undercurrent flavor, but with the Guyanese style, it's in the front all the way to the back, and that's what I love about it.
It's so true. I remember taking that first bite, and I was like, because I have a really good palate, and I was like, whoa, it's a well-rounded dish. Like I could literally taste every spice that we put in from start to finish, and like it opened up. That's probably the best way of saying it. The flavors were so robust, but everything opened up, and everything was a nice merriment of I guess flavors, like that'd be the right spices. Yeah. So that was something I greatly appreciated. I want to switch gears real fast. What made you want to major in this particular area of study?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that if this makes sense, I'm still figuring that out. And I think even after I graduate, I'll still be marinating on what drew me to it in the first place. Not that I'm regretting it at all. I think for a long time, and I've had conversations about this with Jose Barsola, the conflict and peace specialist, who's been helping us both with our practicum projects, that I've been unconsciously doing this work since I was young already. I have lots of siblings and strong ties to my family, and I think I grew up in poverty, and so that comes with a lot of baggage. Doesn't quite define that situation, but there are struggles when it comes to interpersonal relationships in the family, among friends, and when you combine that with financial struggles with identity, I was just seeing the ways in which the world treated me differently or my family differently, but also that of my friends. I was very privileged and very blessed to be able to go to schools throughout my life that were actually diverse, like in the true sense of the words, not the way that it's kind of thrown around these days. And so, we had Black and brown kids, we had Asian, we had, white, of course, but it was like such a mix. And we have, in Minnesota, it's actually a sanctuary state. And so we have lots of immigrants, we have lots of refugee communities. And I'm so grateful for all of those communities for showing me the beauty in our differences and our similarities. And I think when people think of peace and conflict resolution, they think of these grandiose, international affairs and things like that, which it can include that. But the thing that I most wanted to center in my peace and conflict resolution work was the self. Because if we don't have peace within ourselves, how can we produce peace in the world?
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take a deeper dive into this conversation. Aloha Noi, if you're just joining us right now, we're speaking with Jazmin, and she is a graduate, or soon-to-be graduate, from the Matsunuga Conflict and Peace Building track that we have here on campus. I want to ask you, because that last segment, everything you said resonated with me, everything you said. What would you say to your younger self?
Oh, Alex, I knew you were going to hit me where it hurts. Are we talking specific age or just...
You pick. And the reason I ask this is because it's something I think about a lot. And, in the last segment, you talked about your identity. You talked about living in poverty. And for people who've never lived in poverty, they don't really understand that concept. I say it to, if you've never been houseless, you don't understand the toll that takes on yourself, your mind, the transformation that it has on you until you really walked in that. And I say that because I remember one time eating out of the trash can. And for me, that's something that I think about not every day, but when I see houseless people, it's something that I I think about. That's why I ask.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Alex. Yeah, I would say that I had a conversation about this with one of my roommates recently. And I do want to get back to your original question, but it's when you have types of trauma, including poverty or like a high level of ACEs, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. There's a particular way in which you move about the world, and are consistently having to consciously or unconsciously make accommodations for the people around you. Not because you're not out of spite, but almost as a protective sort of thing, because they couldn't possibly fathom the kinds of things that you've been through. And in order to sort of preserve their mental health, you end up not bringing it up, or you talk around it, or you play it off as less than maybe what it was. Both to preserve their own emotional well-being, but also because maybe once or twice you've accidentally kind of brought it up in conversation, and we're met with just, blank stares or like awkward laughter, and that wasn't necessarily what you were needing in that moment as a response. I think if I were to speak to my younger, I do think about this quite often, actually, what I would say to my younger self. I think a lot of that time was, I used to only see, what's interesting is like when you're poor, you don't realize you're poor. And I was very lucky to have my siblings and family around, and we made do with what we had because it's what we had, and so it wasn't necessarily at the forefront, but it did get hard. And I think that I would just tell myself, like, your life is really hard. It's going to be really hard for a long time. It'll ebb and flow with ups and downs. But eventually you will become your ancestors' wildest dreams. If you keep doing what you're doing, there's really nothing that can stop you. So, yeah.
That was actually going to be my next question. Do you see yourself as your ancestors' wildest dreams? And I say this to you because I haven't known you for very long. I've probably in total 30 days. In the short time I've been with you, you can learn a lot by cooking something with someone.
Yeah. And
I definitely took a lot away from us cooking together. And I mean, and you've made it to this place in time. Even the talk stories that we've had offline, that are not recorded, and I've definitely shared vulnerable things about myself. But you're here, and you made it this far. And then, it's funny, like when we met up this morning, I said, has it hit you yet? And I'm very curious, like, do you, because you said that, like, if you do these things, but do you feel that can you believe it and see it, that you are your ancestors' wildest dreams? And I say that because I remember even when you were making this dish, you were taking me back to the very first person who brought this to you.
Yeah. That's a hard question. Which is funny because I did bring up the ancestors' wildest dreams, which I will get back to. regarding the history, very briefly, the experience of Guyana, as well as much of the Caribbean, is this colonial past of not just slavery, but also indentured servitude, forced migration, classism, casteism, racism, and colorism. And my sister and I are on the journey of trying to unpack what it was like for the men, and especially women, that had to undergo this journey, what that was like for them, what the ramifications were, what kind of abuses they may have gone through. And that's a genealogy that we still need to trace back. I think that I have a very complex relationship with my grandmother, who is the one that introduced this dish to everyone in my family, my immediate family. She's a very strong, stern woman who was responsible for a lot of issues in my family, I would say. But I would also say that she did the best that she could with the tools that she had. And that all of us come from a legacy of this colonial impact, this forced migration, the violence. And I do want to honor that. I want to honor that in her the way that I want that to be honored in me. So when you ask me, do I think of myself as my ancestors' wildest dreams? I don't know if I can say that wholeheartedly just yet, but what I do know is that wildest dream isn't rooted into some sort of colonial understanding of success, having lots of money or having a big house or having a PhD. I might want those things, I might not, but if you think about it, their dream would have been for me to survive, to live and be healthy and be well. And if I can eventually get to that point, that would be the time that I could say that I was my ancestors' wildest dreams.
What does healing mean to you or look like to you?
I think that changes. I think that changes with seasons. I think that changes with the phases that I'm in. I want to be in a place eventually where I think I don't stand up for myself as much as I should. And part of that is because I feel like if someone is treating me a certain way, it's for a good reason, right? Why would that person say and do such things if they weren't right? Sort of like rationalization. But as I'm getting older, and I think even 10 years ago, things would have bothered me a lot more, and I would have responded very differently than the way that I do now. And I think, hopefully, as I move forward in my healing journey, I will start to see, I do have my own value, and I'm deserving of respect the same way that other people are. And yeah, I want to trust myself more. Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what her senior year for Jazmin has been like. And yeah, keep it locked to KTUH, the only radio station that loves you. Aloha Noa. Again, I want to mahalo you so much for tuning in today. We are talking to students who are graduating. Our guest today is going to be Jazmin, and she is coming from the Matsunuga Peace Building Institute here on campus through the communications department. I wanted to ask, what has this time in your life been like? The senior year, like home stretch, early in the previous segments we talked about, like, has it hit you yet? And because to me it sort of feels like I close my eyes and I open back up and I'm like, what? We're here?
Yeah.
What has this journey been like for you, and is it what you thought it was gonna be?
I don't know. I'm the kind of person, I tend to go in without expectations. Not necessarily as a means of like protecting myself, probably somewhat that, but also because I just want to be open to the whims of what may or may not happen, whether positive or negative or whatever else. I think when I came here in 2021, I wasn't prepared for all of the things that would happen, all the people that I would meet. I was reflecting on this. I reflect on this regularly, and I'm a person that like wants to make the most of every situation. Honestly, it's been a very hard 2 years, year and a half. Here at school, moving away from home, being on my own, literally miles away, in the ocean, Pacific Ocean, and it's been a hard time for me. For the first several months, it was really hard to find like support systems, and then figuring out my own financial situation, because all of my tuition was half financial aid and then half out of my own pocket, out of my own life savings, that I was able to even come here. And then this year kind of doubled down, because all of those friendships and all of those mentorships and relationships I had built, all those people either graduated or went back home off island, or worked at different places. We all got different jobs, or our schedules didn't align, and then I wasn't able to move back in with my roommate. So there was like a series of events that doubled down on this second year that I thought was going to be, this will be a lot easier. I finally know people. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. And then to kind of have that collapse on me was very hard when I started up again last fall for my final year. But I'm still very grateful. I do not regret the decision to come here. I think this place has challenged me and forced me to grow in some of the best ways. And it really makes me want to continue this journey of understanding what it means to be a guest in different spaces, and how to do that responsibly and in a reciprocal way. There's many things that I will take with me. Yeah.
If you're just joining us right now, we're speaking with Jazmin, and she is a graduate, or soon-to-be graduate, of the Conflict and Peace Building Institute here at the Matsunuga Institute through the Communications Department. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take a deeper dive just about the positives of life. Keep it locked to KTUH, the only radio station that loves you. Aloha no. Again, I want to mahalo you so much for tuning in to our final installment of graduate students here at UH Manoa. And I'm bringing you graduate students that I have met, that I have either worked alongside, or folks that I have met through my journey in this space. There's so many things that I resonate with you, not only like of how you see your healing, how you observe the people that you acknowledge that healing occurs for and for yourself. And what also really struck me is that at the end of last segment you talked about being a guest in this place, because that's something that even came up when we were cooking together. What do you love the most about Hawaii?
That's hard to answer. I would say, and I think about this as I think about moving forward. As I leave the island, I'm really going to miss this sort of like family, this like familial connection. I think that, everyone is either, uncle or auntie, sis, tita, and you treat, elders as like your own kupuna. Like, I'm really going to miss that. I feel like that is something that's really special. And I know that is culturally used in many other spaces as well, but this was the first time for me to really experience that and really embody that. Because I haven't had so much experience like using it as daily verbiage. And because these aren't just like words that you just like throw around. It really makes you pause, and it really informs how you treat the people around you when you see them as your uncle or your aunt or your brother, sister, I think that's a really powerful thing about this place. And it is something that I would like to try to bring over back to where I'm from. It's more common in our pockets of Caribbean communities there, but I think that this sort of like element of like seeing everyone as your kin is something that the whole world could benefit from. Yeah. It's
so interesting because yesterday with the eclipse, I kept seeing on the news and everywhere, people are coming together for the eclipse, the one thing that's uniting the community. And I'm like, hey, if it's bringing folks together, I'm all for it. But I'm all like, let's hopefully it's just not this one thing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, God. What's a favorite food item or thing that you're going to miss from this place?
Zippy spaghetti.
Oh my God, yeah.
With the garlic bread.
Yeah, so true.
Yes, I'm a fan. I'll definitely miss that. The obviously variety of like I'm into fish. So having, variety and like how it's so fresh that's going to be missed for sure. Mm-hmm.
What would you say to someone, the younger version of you, who is either in Minnesota or is in California, and she's a Guyanese girl, and she has a similar background to you, and she's considering taking that leap of faith and betting on herself? What would you say to her?
I would say do not listen to the haters. I would say listen to your internal compass. I know that people have like sort of different understandings of this level of instinct, this level of intuition. For me, when I make decisions, it's never like half-assed. Not to say that those decisions don't benefit you in the end, but for me, there's like this really central knowing, even if the feelings surrounding it is fear and like nervousness and anxiety, the inside of it is still like, yeah, but I kind of have to, like, I have to do this. My feeling inside is that I have to do this, and that regardless of the money, regardless of what my family's going to say or what my friends are going to miss me, that, inside, that there's this feeling that like you kind of have to do it, both to like improve, like both to do it for yourself, but maybe for your community as well. I very much feel called to do things. Like I was called to continue my education when I knew that it would be hard for me, given all of my academic struggles. But it felt like it was something that I had to do. And I would say lean on your support systems. Know who those people are, like who's going to ride for you. Who are you going to call when things get really hard? And be smart about things, don't just think that like, if you want to like move to Hollywood and like things will just happen the way that they'll happen. Like it's a hustle. A lot of the things that we do require work. It takes effort. It takes humility. So do your thing and, be realistic, but also like, don't give up on yourself. And, I really believe that like all people have such great potential within themselves, and that the only reason they don't, maybe obviously there's barriers to access to certain things, but one of those barriers can be our own selves and our own self-doubts. And I think that we should all encourage each other to try to aspire to do the things that we really are passionate about and not let things get in the way.
If you could have a meal with anyone, whether it be past or present, who would it be and what would you have? This one's gonna hit me. The person that's coming to mind for me right now is the mother of my cousins, Auntie Janet, and she's a woman that she met me when I was a baby. But obviously I have no memory of this, and she passed away very shortly after that. So I just remember that everyone had like such fond memories of her, and then I didn't, so I felt like I missed out on something. But apparently, so this is full circle, like her curry was slapping. Like she could really put her foot into it, and she had her own special ingredients that she would use. So if I could pick anyone, I would have a meal with Auntie Janet, and it would have to be curry that she had made. I think that would be a special moment. And I would love to get to know her. I would love to have gotten to know her, but that would be the moment that we could actually talk and I could see what I missed out on. Yeah. One thing that sticks out for me, just again, because going back to us cooking, like when I first met you, we didn't really even talk the very first day that we had been introduced to each other, because we met at a lunch. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I met you, we both were early, so we started early, and I could instantly feel your ancestors with you. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I remember when we were putting everything, setting everything up, and how you were laying down your curry. And I remember I made a comment to you about it. I said, oh my gosh, this is actually something I've observed a lot in Indian culture. Like Indian folks, they don't mix it. It's all in little, little piles on a dish. And that's when I first, so I didn't even know about this individual, but that makes a lot more sense to me now, especially because that was coming through so much to me in that time. Yeah. Tita, I mahalo you so much. You have been a very interesting mirror for myself. And like I said, there's so many things from your story that resonate for myself. There's been healing that I've had for myself, learning through you, learning about you. And yeah, I mahalo you for whatever soul agreement we made in the other realm.
Yeah.
That brought us to this particular time and space. Because it's interesting how all of these things are coming to me at a very interesting time in my life, where everything is finally coming together. And I'm definitely one of those people that I did not think I would ever get to this place. And so I hope, as my gift to you, that you can see the greatness that I see in you. And I hope that the things that you search for, the things that you aspire to have and attain, all come for you in a way that you can comprehend and understand. Because I definitely can say to someone who is still healing, this is a journey. I mean, it's definitely it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And like you said, there's gonna be ebbs and flows of it, and sometimes we have to acknowledge the people that we met in that journey, where they are, where they were in that time, and what they were doing with the information that they had.
Right. And
that's something that, for you to be able to recognize and understand that at this age, that's amazing. Because, I mean, that's some heavy SHIT.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. And, again, the healing is not for the faint of heart.
No.
And I sometimes I've heard this thing, it's like, I want to clear the negative things in my bloodline.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that, it's just something that I've always thought about. And it's also very fascinating that the way you approach a lot of things is very similar to how I approach these internal conversations, except I just never talk about it openly, ever. So I'm like, when I meditate, I do, but I'm never like out in the open. And so I mahalo you just for your willingness and your bravery to just definitely do this with me, because we definitely got to know each other really well during cooking, and it definitely it's just, I mahalo you so much. This has been such an amazing experience for myself. Jose, I mahalo you for this as well, but kumu maya sutumayar, like, hands down, I cannot say how many things I have learned this semester from this lady. Like, she has transformed my way of thinking in ways that I didn't even know were possible. Like, I can say for myself, as someone who's really been focusing on my healing journey, she's taught me about my river of life, and to really like step into that. And every exercise that I have learned from her in her class, I've made my team do it, and it's been interesting to see how it reverberates in their life. Again, if you're just tuning in, I also I would encourage you, a book that we read in the peace building course is Getting to Yes. It teaches you how to have very difficult conversations, or just conversations with all kinds of people that have more money than you, people that have perceived power than you, like all kinds of things. And it's, everything in life is a negotiation, and you may not think that or see that, but everything in life is a negotiation. The only things that are in life are guaranteed are life and death. You've been listening to Real Talk with DJ Ono. Aloha.